This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org here in the City of Lights, Paris, France. And I'm actually joined by the one and only Pierre Jovanovic. He's a famous independent media figure here. Max Kaiser has personally introduced me to him, and he is known as the Max Kaiser of Paris, France. Now, we know a lot of news is breaking from France right now. There's been regional elections that have huge implications on not only France, but all of Europe. And we know, like you've been telling me, all this deep information about what's really happening behind the scenes. This third party seems to be coming out of nowhere. But for the American people watching out there, what has just happened with these French elections and what are the greater implications?
The implications are tremendous. Imagine that United States suddenly on the next elections you have a third party coming out from nowhere, and let's say that the 95 million people who are on food stamps just will vote for this third party. Yeah. So it's exactly the same thing. So which is scaring, of course, all the top level people, the most richest people, from the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what's happening here. And now the whole French spectrum of political people are totally scared because if they lose on the second round, which will be on next Sunday, it means that the extreme right, what the European journalists call the extreme right, for what I call mostly a communist party, because they have the same idea, protecting the workers and the normal people. So if they want it, that will be like. Let's say to give you another idea, which is more scary even, it's not that they are fascist, okay, but this is exactly what happened in Germany in the 30s. When people lost the election and the Hitler Party started to move up in every election. So this is extremely scary for the banks. This is extremely scary mostly for the European Union, which represents mostly the interest of the American banks. So you need to know that the reason why the French people went to vote today, it's because Goldman Sachs asked, like, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, in a memorandum which was published, that they wrote that there was too many regions in France, were too many, which is extremely expensive because every region has his own workers, blah blah. So they need to have just, instead of have a 50 or 70, just have 10 of them, and they pushed toward it because if not, France wouldn't be able to pay back on his debt.
Wow.
That's the reason Goldman Sachs requested that.
Wow.
So the point is that Goldman Sachs, get it perfectly okay because I voted today, for example, but the result of the election is not exactly what they expected.
No.
So it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Now, I know that the political system here runs differently than the American system. There's like 2 rounds of voting, 2 rounds of elections as well. And the Democrats and Republicans are not really the Democrats and Republicans in Europe. It's more like the left and even more left. Can you just explain to how different the system is here?
The system different, but it's going back really in history. Let's say that the Communist Party almost vanished, and today it's replaced by the Front Gauche. Which is broke the system. Everybody is bad. It's like an anarchy party mostly. And then you have the Republicans, which is extremely close to the Republicans, American Republicans. And you have the Socialist Party, which is the left. Let's say that they are the Democrats. There's not too much difference between them, actually. It's like in United States. And you have the devil, of course, the National Front, the Front National. So they call them the devil. And today, the devil came out of the box.
Wow.
That's this is what is amazing. And this is a message. It's a very important message, to all the people in Wall Street. I'm wondering how the Wall Street is going to react to the election to tomorrow. Maybe nothing as usual, but it seems that people out of work, the only thing they have is the possibility to vote and to vote against the people who put them out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So This is, and United States people, it seems for us, the American system is very curious because the only thing I understood in United States is that the skirts from the Democrats, are shorter than the Republicans. That's it. For us, a Republican Party is what the Front National is here, on extreme right.
Yeah. Now, in the United States, the left and right, they're both financed by the big banksters and they're both controlled. But you're telling me that this independent party is not controlled by the big banksters. Is that correct?
Oh yes, it's definitely correct. Actually, all the French banks turn it down. They request, for regular finance, like every national political system. So they went. The only way for them to find out some loan was to go a Russian bank. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
So because all the French banks turned them down. Which is absolutely amazing because today they represent 30% or even 40%, and in some cities even 60% of the people.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But you see how the banks started the war against the National Front, and of course against them by denying them the loans. Just to like the regular party.
I didn't know that. Now, we hear the National Front being characterized as the devil, as the far-right extremist and everything else. What is this party really about, and what are some of the changes that they're going to be implementing when they do get in power?
They mostly say they're getting out of the Eurozone. That's why they're presented by the media like the devil. But for me, there is no difference between the Front National and the Republicans, technically. If you look closely at what they want or what they propose that's the best analogy. The fact that they want to get out of the Eurozone and progressively of the euro is scaring the whole system in Wall Street and of course in Brussels.
Wow.
So because they're losing, they're losing. You need to understand that today, for a very long time, for almost 15 years. United States have the right to use the quantitative easing, which means fake money. How do you call that?
Fake money, yeah, just made up money. They just print it on their own.
Yeah, they're just printing money, quantitative easing. Yeah. And Europe didn't have the right. The European Central Bank didn't have the right to print money. So we used only real money, if I may say that. And the situation here in Europe is so desperate. You need to understand that the European Bank, against everything, against even their own internal laws, they decided to print for 1,000 billion, whatever, of fake money. And 3 days ago, Mr. Draghi said that he's going to print a new round of it. Wow. So this is absolutely devastating because United States and Wall Street, of course, they cannot afford France to be out of the Eurozone.
Yeah.
This is the best way to funnel money from Europe, and especially from France, to Wall Street.
Yeah, this is exactly huge, grave implications that you're not really being, heard in the mainstream media. You're seeing a lot of villainization. You're seeing a lot of generalization, especially in the American press. But we really appreciate just like the insider details because we don't get this information anywhere else in the mainstream media. Now, you have been writing a lot of books, predicting a lot of things that have been coming true, especially to the economic tyranny that all of us, not just in France, not just in the U.S., but all of us in the world have been facing. Can you just tell us about some of the predictions that you've been, able to predict in your books about some of the economic woes and some of the economic situations that have unfolded?
Well, I predicted that I was not the only one, but I predicted, specifically the way that after Wall Street exploded, I predicted that the Pope John Benoit XVI will be fired from the Vatican, and I predicted like 3 years. Even on the radio and on a couple of them, because of financial problems. And the JP Morgan was one of the banks who helped them. JP Morgan was the bank who disconnected the Vatican from the American Express, Visa, and MasterCard systems.
Wow.
And when Benoit XVI resigned from the Vatican, the day after, the American Express, Visa, and MasterCard, they plugged them back, the Vatican.
Wow.
So this is very interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, I predicted that the Front National is going to win all the elections, progressively. I am the not only one. Ambrose Evans Pritchard from the Telegraph of London wrote the something, I think, in 2009. So because we're exactly in the same economic disaster crisis, like in the 30s. And I always predicted that United States wants to go to war to hide the crisis and the bankruptcy of their banks. And look what's happening now.
Yeah.
They're pushing to war between Turkey and Russia.
Yep. Turkey, Russia, and Syria, and especially just the global escalating tensions that we have been paying close attention to geopolitically. I know you've been paying attention to all the economic news. Where do you see things coming down the line? What do you think is going to happen next, especially, in this severe situation, which we never fixed from 2008 during the major housing market crash, with the banking situation all over the world? Where do you see things coming to a head?
We don't pay enough attention to the Hormuz Detroit. Hormuz Detroit is where all the tankers are going by. And this is a strategic point because the Bosphorus is also a strategic point. And United States, they want to stop Russia to use the Bosphorus,
in Turkey.
or Turkey. Yeah. And you have another strategic point. It's called the Detroit de Hormuz. I don't know how to say it in English. Hormuz, it's in Iran, where all the tankers go to pick up the oil. And this is going to be extremely hot point to watch. As you can see, in the United States, there is a total disaster concerning the layoffs, mostly in energy right now. There is 100,000 of people who have been fired. They have been laid off. If all these people decide tomorrow to vote against the Republicans or the Democrats for a third party, it will be the same revolution in the United States as we're watching here. So the interesting point is to watch is how the Democrats and the Republicans are controlling the media, and so you cannot have in the United States a third party who can grow up like the FN here.
Yep, and the third party is now rising here in France. There's major implications, major changes. Pierre, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for explaining this. You wrote many books, as we could see, all throughout your office here. Thank you so much. Not all of them, but a lot of them on here. Check out Pierre. The link to his website is going to be in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video and get you some clarification on the breaking news of these major changes in France with the elections. Pierre, thank you so much for all the information.
Merci.